Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. So today we are going to have the part third of the revision series that we are running for your NPS Grade A and Grade B examination, right? And today we are going to discuss 10 most important questions for your Commerce and Accounts subject, right? So let me just check if the video quality and as well as the audio quality is absolutely fine. Then we will move ahead with the class. Okay? Yeah, everything is good. Let me just start the class. Okay, so before moving ahead, I want to tell you, if you are new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to it, because each and every video you are going to get in this channel only, right? And the concerned PDF you are going to get in the Telegram channel. Okay, let's start with the first question of the day, that says, which accounting standard deals with the preparation of cash flow statement? Your first option says AS1, AS3, second option is AS3, third option AS5, fourth option AS7, and E option is none of the above. So cash flow AS3, in AS3 the details of cash flow is given. How to prepare the cash flow, it is given in AS3, and we have other accounting standards here as well. So I'm just going to give you a brief about all the accounting standards that are written here in the option. Let's start with the AS1 first. So AS1 is disclosure of accounting policies, right? It is not the cash flow statement, and the question is asking you about the cash flow statement. Answer would be AS3, we know that, but let's discuss other accounting standards as well. So AS1 is about disclosure of accounting policies. AS5 is net profit or loss for the period, prior period items, and changes in accounting policies. See, from the examination point of view, you should be remembering most of the accounting standards name and the number. Okay, whatever you can, you should be doing that. Don't go into too much detail, because examination is not going to be very difficult, but you should be remembering the name and the number. Okay, specifically the accounting standards which are mentioned in the syllabus. Okay. Okay, so AS5 is net profit or loss for the period, prior period items, and changes in the accounting policies. Now what is AS7? AS7 applies to the construction contract. It gives you the guidelines for the accounting of construction contracts, right? So the question number 1 answer is option number B, that is AS3. Let's move ahead with the next question of the day, that says, okay, I'm getting the answers as well. Okay, question number 2 says, which of the following would not be considered as application of cash while preparation of the cash flow statement? See, cash flow statement is your important chapter in the in your Commerce and Accounts subject for the NPS Grade A and Grade B, right? And your ratio analysis is also the most important chapter. So these two chapters are the most important chapters. Okay, you should be focusing on these two chapters. Okay, the question says, which is not the application of cash? What is application of cash and what is source of cash? See, in the organization, whenever you are getting the cash, whenever you are getting the money, that is your source of cash. But when you are utilizing it, it is your application of cash. It is as simple as that, right? So the question is asking which is not the application of cash. So first option says redemption of preference shares. See, when it says redemption of preference shares, what you are doing actually, you are redeeming the certificates so that you can pay the money back, right? You are paying money back and you are getting the certificates back. So it is a form of application of cash, because you are paying money to someone else, isn't it? So it is the application of cash. You are using the cash. Okay. B option says, so it is the application of cash, so it would not be the answer. Second option says purchase of investments. Now again, you are purchasing the investment. That means you are spending something, right? You are utilizing your cash. Again, it would be your application of cash. Then we have the payment of dividend. Again, you are using your cash, so it is also the application of cash. So I am getting the answer. I don't know. Yeah. So, but I haven't got the correct answer yet. Okay, issue of shares. D option says issue of shares. Now, in the issuance of shares, you issue the share certificate and you get the cash, you get the amount. So it is not the application of cash, it is the source of cash. You are funding your organization by issuing the shares. It is the source of cash. Are you getting the point? So the answer would be issuance of shares. Loss in operation is also the application of cash. Okay, so issue of share is your source of cash, not the application of cash. So it is going to be the answer option number D. ठीक है? Cool. Now, question number third. In preparation of cash flow statement, which of the following would be an example of cash equivalent? Now you have to tell me which is the example of cash equivalent. I'm not asking you about the cash. See, there are two terms, cash and cash equivalents. Cash includes your cash in hand and whatever cash you hold in your bank account. That is your cash. Cash equivalent are those assets, you can say, those quick assets, you can say, which are readily be converted into cash, which are readily realizable into cash. They can be quickly converted into cash. These are your cash equivalents. So the question is asking you about which of the following would be an example of the cash equivalent. ठीक है? First option says acquisition of preference shares just before their specified redemption date. See, whenever you are acquiring the preference shares just before their redemption date, so it is readily realizable into cash. So it would be the type of cash equivalent. ठीक है? It is the cash equivalent. But let's read out the other option as well, because you might have more than one options as the correct options. ठीक है? So this is correct, but let's read out the other options as well. Option number B says bank deposit with the ultra short maturity period. Again, the period is ultra short, very short maturity period, so it is your cash equivalent. C option says demand deposit with banks. See, whatever money you have in the bank, that is in the form of demand deposit. Deposit means you have the balance in the current account or saving account. Whenever you would need it to be withdrawn, you can do that. So it is your demand deposit, right? So it is a kind of cash, not the cash equivalent. It is equivalent to cash, so it is not going to be the answer. And again, D option is cash in hand, so it is also cash, but the question is asking about cash equivalent. So cash equivalent is option A and option B as well. So the option number E says both A and B, so that would be your answer. Very, very good, everyone. Cool. Let's move ahead with the fourth question of the day. From the following information, find out the cash flow from operating activities. First of all, let's try to understand what is this operating activities. See, whatever is the ordinary course of business for the company, that is your operating activities. Like you are purchasing something, you are purchasing the raw material, then you are making the good, and then you are selling it, right? You are paying salaries. All these things are your operating activities. That is your regular activities of the enterprise. And you have to find out the cash flow from operating activities. So in the cash flow, we have got two concepts, inflows and the outflows. Whenever you get cash, that is your inflow. Whenever you have to give cash, that is your outflow. Okay? Okay. So activities are in the operating activities, these are the sub activities. Cash receipts from the sale of goods. So obviously you are selling goods or rendering of services, so it is your inflow. So plus 5 lakh, right? It will be plus 5 lakh rupees. Cash payments to suppliers for goods and services, 2 lakh rupees. So you are paying money, so it is going to decrease your cash balance, so you are going to minus it. Clear? Cash payment to employees, again 0.5 lakh. So again you are going to what? You are going to minus it. Okay? 0.5 lakh means 50,000, right? Okay. And then you have cash receipt from sale of property, plant and equipment, 1.5 lakh. No, this is not under the operating activities. This is under the investing activities. Arey Baba, you are selling the PPE, property, plant and equipment. That comes under your investment. So whenever you are selling it, whatever you are getting, it is under your investment activity, not under the operating activities. So this will not be counted. So 5 lakh plus and 2 lakh minus, that becomes your 3 lakh, and 3 lakh minus again 0.5 lakh. So that will become 2.5 lakh. So mentally you can do this thing, right? So the answer would be option number C. The answer is 2.5 lakh from the question number 4th, right? Cool. Let's move to the 5th question of the day. All of the following would be shown as the part of the cash flow from financing activities. Now, let me first tell you what is this financing activities. See, in the financing activities, you are trying to raise the company's funds. You are trying to raise your funds. Like you are issuing shares, you are issuing debentures, you are issuing other securities. Okay? So you are getting the cash. or you are redeeming these securities. When you redeem these securities, you pay cash, but then also it is under the financing activities, because overall it is the part of financing activities, right? Because when you wanted to raise your funds, you have issued shares, right, or your debentures. Now you are redeeming these securities, so you are paying back the money, so it is the part of financing activity only, right? So the question says all of the following would be shown as the part of cash flow from financing activities, except, it is saying except, which is not the cash flow from financing activities. It is what this question is asking. So option number A says cash proceeds from issuing shares or other equity instrument. It is a type of financing activities, so it is not going to be the answer. It is not the answer. B option says cash repayments of amounts borrowed. Again, it's a type of financing activity. It is under the financing activity because you have borrowed some funds, so it is a type of financing activity, right? C option says cash proceeds from issuing debentures. Okay, so it is also a financing activity. You are issuing debentures. Okay. D option says cash receipts from the sale of equity or debt instrument of other entities. Oh ho ho. Now what is happening here? You are a company, but it is saying you have purchased the equity or debt instrument of some other entities, and now you are selling it. So this is your company and this is another company. So you are company A, you are buying shares of B. So for A, whenever you have bought the shares of company B, this is your investment, and whenever you are selling these shares of the company B, for you it is the investment activity, not the financing activity. Not, you are not raising fund for your own company. What you're actually doing, you are investing in other companies' shares. So for you, for company A, it is the investment. It is a type of investing activity. So the answer would be option number D, cash receipts from the sale of equity or debt instrument of other entities. Okay? So it is a type of investing activity, not the financing. So it is not the financing. So answer would be option number D. Cool? Chalo, let's move ahead. See, answer is option number D. Question number 6. Now it's a question of ratio analysis, the most important chapter in your entire syllabus for the commerce and accounts. You are going to definitely, most probably you are going to see the question from the ratio analysis and the cash flow. Okay, so the question is asking you which of the following is an example of composite ratio. Okay? So what is composite ratio? First of all, let's try to understand that. See, you have got two primary financial statement. First one is PL account, another one is balance sheet, and I hope you must be knowing this thing. Now whenever we talk about the ratio analysis, and you know, in the ratio analysis you have got two variables and you compare those two variables, those two elements with each other. Like you have gross profit ratio. What is gross profit ratio? Gross profit divided by sales, isn't it? It is your gross profit ratio. So you are trying to compare the gross profit with respect to sales. This is what you are actually doing in the ratio analysis. Now when we talk about composite ratio, it means that one element of this ratio, you are picking it up from the PL account, and another item, another variable, you are taking it from the balance sheet. So you are basically using both of these financial statement, balance sheet as well and the PL account as well. Okay? So in any ratio, if one variable is from the PL account and another variable is from the balance sheet, then you call it composite ratio, because you are using both of these both of these statement. Okay? And if you are using the variable only from one type of financial statement, then it is not the composite ratio, just like we have in the case of this gross profit ratio, because gross profit ratio is what? Gross profit divided by sales. Both are the items of the PL account, so this is not the composite ratio. Okay? But the question is asking which is the example of composite ratio, and now just look at the options. First option says current ratio. Now current ratio is what? Current asset divided by current liability, right? So both are the elements of the balance sheet, so it is not going to be the answer. Asset test ratio, again quick asset divided by current liability, it is not going to be the answer because both the elements are from the balance sheet. C option says debtor turnover ratio. Okay, fine. See, debtors turnover ratio, what is that? Debtor means you have sold something on credit, so your credit sales divided by your average debtors. Now in the debtors turnover ratio formula, credit sale you are going to take it from the PL account, and the average debtors you are going to take it from the balance sheet, because debtors are your asset na, and asset is shown in the balance sheet, so you are using the element of PL account as well, and as well as the balance sheet. So are you getting the logic? So therefore option number C is going to be the correct answer. Debtors turnover ratio is going to be the correct answer. ठीक है, बात समझ में आ गई? Okay, cool. Now option number D says net profit ratio. Again, net profit ratio is not your composite ratio, because the variable that it is taking is going to be taken from the PL account only. ठीक है, चलो, the answer is option number C. That is your debtors turnover ratio. Let's move to the next question of the day, that says which of the following is a solvency ratio? Okay, so in the ratio analysis we have got 4 type of ratios. Let me first of all explain all the 4 types of ratios, then we will get back to the question. 4 types of ratio you have in the ratio analysis. First one is liquidity ratio. What is this liquidity ratio? Basically they are going to measure the firm's ability to meet the current obligation. Like in the liquidity ratio you have got the current ratio, that gives you the comparison of current asset with respect to the current liability. What is the worth of current asset with respect to the current liability? That is going to give you the this liquidity ratio, a type of liquidity ratio. Okay. Now what do we have in the solvency ratio? In the solvency ratio it is comparing the debt, overall debt, with the overall equity. Okay. So these ratios shows the proportion of debt and equity in financing the firm's asset. This is your solvency ratio. Okay. Liquidity ratio talks about short term solvency. Let me write it down for you. One more word for this liquidity ratio. It talks about short term solvency. Okay. What is your current liability, or what is your current asset with respect to the current liability? What is your quick asset with respect to the current liability? It talks about short term solvency. How you are going to pay your short term liability by using the short term assets. It is a liquidity ratio. But in the solvency ratio, it takes the long term solvency, actually long term solvency. Okay. You are comparing the debt with the equity. How you are going to pay your debt? With the help of equity or with the help of assets. Okay. Okay. Now third one is activity ratio. We also call it, let me write it down for you, we also call it turnover ratio. It is basically the ratio in which you are trying to figure out what is the efficiency of your firm's assets, how effectively and efficiently you are using your firm's asset to generate the revenue. It is your activity ratio. Okay. Therefore we also call it turnover ratio. How you are turning over your assets in your favor in the form of revenue. Are you getting the logic? Easy? Okay. What about fourth, profitability ratio? It is very easy. You try to compare the profits, different type of profits we have got, right? Like gross profit, operating profit, net profit, and you compare it with the sales and any other variable you want to do, right? Depending upon the question. So profitability ratio is also easy. It is going to give you the performance, overall performance and the effectiveness of the firm. Now let's get back to the question. It says which of the following is solvency ratio? Now solvency ratio is not the quick ratio. Debt equity ratio, absolutely correct. We have talked about this right now. Okay? So debt equity ratio is your solvency ratio. Quick ratio is not the solvency ratio. It is your liquidity ratio. Working capital turnover ratio is a type of turnover ratio. Net profit ratio is a type of profitability ratio. So the answer would be option number B only. Okay? Let's move ahead with the 9th question, and we have the numerical. So be ready with the copy and pen, or if you can do it mentally, congratulations. Calculate quick ratio. Okay, what is the formula of quick ratio? You know that quick assets divided by current liability. I hope you remember the formula, right? Now what do we include in the quick asset? The assets which can be converted into cash very quickly. Okay? In a very short, in an ultra short period of time. Okay? So in the quick asset, you don't have a quick asset directly here. So in the form of current asset you have got assets. Current assets you have got, right? But from these current assets, you have to deduct the inventories, because inventories are not your quick assets. Inventories are generally realized into cash within 1 year. But on the other hand, when we talk about quick asset, it can be realizable within a very short period of time. So from the current asset, you have to deduct this 25,000. Okay, so let me write it down for you. 4 lakh minus 25,000. Then also prepaid expenses. This is also a current asset, but it is not going to be included in your quick asset. Why? Because this is the fictitious asset. This is not the actual asset. You're not realizing any cash from the prepaid expenses. Okay? Though we put it under the current asset, but it is not actually the quick asset. So you have to minus this as well. Fine. Okay, rest of the things are fine. Okay, then what we have, current liability in the denominator, and current liability is given to you directly, that is 2 lakh rupees. Okay, so your numerator is 4 lakh minus 50,000, that will be 3 lakh 50,000. Okay, 3 lakh 50,000 divided by 2 lakh rupees, easy. So it would be 1.75:1. ठीक है, सबका आंसर सही है, चेक कर लें. Okay, ठीक है, गुड. 1.75:1 इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर हेयर. ठीक है, डिवाइड तो कर लोगे ना मेंटली. ठीक है, 2 लाख को 2 लाख से किया हमने तो 100% आ गया. 100% के बाद फिर आपका ये कितना है, 1.5 लाख है, तो 75% हो गया. ठीक है, तो 175% हो गया. 175% इज 1.75:1. कूल. ये डिवाइड कर सकते हो, कैलकुलेटर से भी कर सकते हो, चाहो तो फिर फिजिकली कर लेना. ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. सी, आंसर इज 1.75:1. Next question we have is question number 10th. Calculate the gross profit ratio from the following figure. Again a numerical. Okay, gross profit ratio तो बड़ा easy है. Formula is what? Gross profit divided by the sales. Okay, do we have the gross profit directly? No, we don't have the gross profit directly. We have to find it out, and it is very easy. How do we find out gross profit? Sales minus purchases. Okay, first of all, sales minus purchases. In the purchases, now you also add your opening stock. I think you might be knowing this. If you don't know this, please understand this thing, ki in the purchases you also add your opening stock, because opening stock is the closing stock of the previous year. Okay, that is going to be included in your current year cost if you are selling it. Okay, so please remember this: purchase plus opening stock minus closing stock. Okay, why you are deducting closing stock? Because see, this year you have got the closing stock. That means you are not selling the stock in this current period. So if you are not selling the goods in this current period, why you are going to take the cost of it in this current period? You are going to take this current stock cost, closing stock cost in the next period. Therefore you are deducting it. Okay? Please remember this: purchase plus opening stock you always do, and minus closing stock you always do. Clear? Okay, so sale is your 5 lakh rupees. ठीक है, minus purchases is your 3,50,000, and plus opening stock is 70,000, and minus closing stock is 35,000. ठीक है, I think you can do the calculation on your own. So it will be 3,50,000 plus 70,000 will be 4,20,000. 4,20,000 and minus 35,000 will be your 3,85,000. ठीक है, and 5 lakh minus 3,85,000 divided by 5 lakh. Now you can do the calculation part. ठीक है, मैंने आपकी बहुत हेल्प कर दी है आधा करके, बाकी कैलकुलेशन अपने आप कर लेना. ठीक है, so 5 lakh minus 3,85,000 will be what? Around 1,25,000. Let me check. 1,15,000. yes, ठीक है, 1,15,000 आएगा ये ऊपर का न्यूमरेटर, एंड डिवाइड बाय 5 लाख. अब आप इसको कैलकुलेशन सॉल्व कर लेना, तो आंसर वुड बी अराउंड 23%. अब मैं पूरी कैलकुलेशन करके आपको नहीं दिखा रहा हूँ, ये बच्चों वाला. ठीक है, डिवाइड और मल्टीप्लिकेशन नहीं दिखाऊंगा, ये आपको खुद करना है. तो आंसर कितना आएगा? 23%. ठीक है, क्लियर. बाकी मैंने आपको कॉन्सेप्ट और लॉजिक बता दिए. ओके, वैसे ये 3,85,000 तो मेंटली हमने कर ही लिया था, 1,15,000 भी कर लिया था, खाली आपको डिवाइड करना था बस, जिसमें आपको पेन पेपर की जरूरत पड़ेगी. अदरवाइज रेस्ट ऑफ द कैलकुलेशन यू कैन डू ईजिली मेंटली एज वेल. ठीक, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. तो इसका आंसर हो गया 10th का क्या है? ऑप्शन नंबर सी, 23%. ओके, लेट्स मूव अहेड विद द 11th क्वेश्चन. ओके, दिस इज द होमवर्क क्वेश्चन. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेल यू द आंसर ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन, नाइदर आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू द सॉल्यूशन ऑफ इट. यू हैव टू डू इट ऑन योर ओन. So pause the video. After the video is over, get back to the video again and pause the video here in this slide. Read the question, use your copy pen, use your mind, do it and give me the answer in the comment section. ठीक है, चलो अब मिलेंगे हम कल सेम टाइम पे विद द नेक्स्ट important MCQs. I think tomorrow is going to be the class of Companies Act, the most important questions of Companies Act we are going to discuss. तब तक के लिए टाटा बाय बाय. Thank you everyone and all the best for the